This lady was tragically killed just 6 days before her wedding, and the police discovered a really scary scene at the place where it happened. Everyone who knew Annie Lee couldn't help but be impressed. She was not just beautiful, but had a smile that could brighten up any room. A total academic superstar in high school and college, she even earned the title of valedictorian at Union Mine High School in El Dorado, California. What's more, she was voted most likely to be the next Einstein. With a generous $160,000 scholarship, she went on to study at the University of Rochester in New York. There, she pursued a major in cell developmental biology and added a minor in medical anthropology, successfully graduating from the university. Annie got into the top-notch Yale graduate program. At 24, she was working on her pharmacology doctorate at the prestigious Ivy League college in New Haven, Connecticut. Engaged and deeply in love, things seemed great. Until September 8, 2009, just 5 days before her wedding. Annie left her apartment, took the Yale Transit to her office, and entered her research lab around 10 a.m. But here's the chilling part. She was never seen leaving. Known for being responsible and punctual, her roommates got worried by 9 p.m. when she hadn't come back home, so they reported her missing to the New Haven Police Department. Police found Annie's body in her Yale research lab 5 days after she disappeared, the day she was to marry Jonathan Wadowski. Security cameras, about 70 of them, monitored the area, and access required a Yale ID card. Despite the tight security, Annie was seen entering the lab but never leaving. Described as smart, funny, and compassionate, her murder shocked everyone, leaving her family devastated. Yale President Richard Levin wrote in a letter to university staff and students, "It is my tragic duty to report that a body of a female was found in the basement of the Amistad building late this afternoon. The identity of the woman has not yet been established. Law enforcement officials remain on the scene. This is an active investigation, and we hope it is resolved quickly." On the day Annie was found, a fellow student named Raymond Clark III, 26, claimed to have seen her leaving the Yale Animal Research Center with 2 bags of mouse food and a notebook. This caught the attention of the police, who focused their investigation on Clark, as he was the only one working with Annie in the lab that day. A 13-page arrest affidavit provided some details before Annie's discovery. It revealed security camera footage tracking both Annie and Clark, scratches on Clark's body, and his attempt to clean the crime scene and remove his DNA. While the document didn't give a motive, insider sources suggested to the Hartford Courant that the strangulation might have stemmed from a work dispute between Clark and Annie. From 10:40 a.m. to 3:45 p.m. on that fateful morning, Clark entered and exited the lab where Annie worked, and another nearby room a staggering 55 times, as per the affidavit. Some details about the discovery of Annie's body were redacted in the document. When Clark left the facility, police observed he was wearing different clothes than when he arrived. Meanwhile, during the search for Annie, a fellow student, Rachel Roth, informed Yale University police officer Sabrina Wood about a box of wipes with blood spots. These wipes were found on a steel pushcart in the room where Annie had last used her security card. Wood, the Yale University police officer, noticed more than just blood on the wipe box. The affidavit says she saw Clark move the box to hide the blood splatter when Annie's blood was facing the other way. To not raise suspicion, Wood started chatting with Clark. While investigators searched for Annie, Clark kept cleaning the room's drain with steel wool and stuff. Another Yale University sergeant, Jay Jones, saw Clark scrubbing the floor near the sink and found it odd. The floor was already clean. Jones also noticed Clark touching the pushcart. By September 10th, the FBI had a list of evidence, including the blood-spotted wipes box and a big lab coat with red stains found in a recycling box. Surveillance footage showed Clark in a similar coat on September 8th. The investigators then went to Annie's place, grabbing her stuff, including a toothbrush for DNA testing. Results confirmed the blood on the wipes box and lab coat belonged to Annie. On September 10th, Clark spoke up, saying he saw Annie leave the building 15 minutes before him, just before a fire alarm caused by a sterilizing machine. This raised more suspicion, leading to warrants for Clark's mouth swabs, fingerprints, body hair, and nail clippings. A polygraph test went badly for Clark. On September 12th, police found evidence above a hallway ceiling outside the lab. A blood-stained glove, a sock, and bloody work boots labeled Ray C. They also found a hospital-like scrub shirt similar to what Clark wore on surveillance tapes. Despite the growing evidence, Annie's body hadn't been found yet. A smart investigator smelled something fishy near a lab panel. They brought in dogs who found a female body with surgical gloves, her undies down, and broken jaw and collarbone. Behind a wall there was lots of blood, insulation hiding the body, a bloodied lab coat, a sock like the one from the ceiling, and a green pen. On September 15th, police searched Clark's apartment, getting DNA that matched the crime scene, including semen. Clark got arrested on September 17th, 2009, at a motel in Connecticut, charged with murder. He pleaded guilty on March 17, 2011, got 44 years, keeping him in jail until 2053. Annie's family was there, and Clark tearfully spoke in court. Clark says, "I take full responsibility for my actions," Clark said, reading a statement in a muted and unsteady voice. "I alone am responsible for the death of Annie Lee and causing tremendous pain to all who loved and cared about Annie," he said. "I have always tried to do the right thing and stay out of trouble," Clark said, "but I failed. I took a life and continued to lie about it while Annie's friends, family, and fiancé sat and waited." Clark went on, "I really never wanted to harm anyone or cause emotional pain to anyone. All I wanted was to be a good son, a good brother, and a good fiancé. But again, I failed. I blame only myself, and there are no excuses for what I have done," Clark said. "Annie was and will always be a wonderful person, by far a better person than I will ever be in my life," Clark continued, seemingly looking for sympathy. "I'm sorry I lied, I'm sorry I ruined lives, and I'm sorry for taking Annie's life." Superior Court Judge Roland Fasano said, "The suffering, the anguish of the families is heartbreaking." He said the plea agreement is appropriate as it was a substantial sentence and prevents Annie's family from going through an emotional and painful trial. For murder, 44 years to serve. For attempted sexual assault in the first degree, 20 years to run concurrently, said Fasano.